Say hi to everybody. So, I'm Jen Palangra, and this is the follow-up video to my original mini lecture called Anatomy of Stress that I gave and posted last week. Hey, get off that. There's my first video, which you should really go watch. I explained that your nervous system has two entirely separate set of nerves. One is called the sympathetic nervous system, which controls our stress reaction. And the other is the parasympathetic nervous system, which controls rest and digest, which is relaxation. Stress and relaxation have their own nervous systems, have their own wiring, and this is, I think, like really interesting and big, and everyone should know that. The experience of stress on a day-to-day routine basis is truly not a natural thing. We are wired to our stress response to the point where it's at a hair trigger most of the time, and it's experienced so regularly that we just take it as, part of life. We enable it in each other, and we just allow it to continue. We have not evolved with our technology. The technology is getting faster, but we're just getting more stressed out. And it's because we are using a system that was used regularly in the Neanderthal land. It's not meant to go through regular modern life. The top few things on the stress list that's going to turn your life upside down is marriage, divorce, public speaking, moving from a house to another house. These are considered naturally some of the most stressful things we can do, but we're not under any physical danger whatsoever. You're probably not going to die doing these things, probably. All right, how do we go forward? And I think today I can help you understand that there is a way out of this. It doesn't really matter what's going on outside. What the stimulus is, in essence, doesn't really matter. What matters is your wiring. You should be wired to a stress response in case of physical danger, but you don't really need to be wired to a stress response if you're waiting for a phone call from a lawyer about something or a test result. Yet we have not, once again, evolved with our world or with our technology in this way. We are Neanderthals when it comes to stress. We live our lives, and everything we do is based on nerve pathways and patterns that we've created and have been set. When you're an infant and you're a tiny baby, you're there and you don't really know what's going on. And as you start to grow, you develop motor skill. All right? You don't start out with motor skill, you have to develop it. Or you want to put a square peg in a square hole. So you practice and you practice, and as you get better at it, you're developing a nerve pathway, and you're developing what's called a schemata. So you learn a schemata, and then you build on that with new schemata, and eventually you have motor skill and fine motor skill. Yeah, so play is really important in childhood development because you're using your curiosity to figure things out and developing skills and schemata and coordination, and this is going to be completely dependent on your environment, your upbringing, your parents, the people you go to school with, and the stimulus all around you. And this is what's going to determine what causes stress and what causes everything else. Every time you feel stress, you figure it's normal, and every time you use it, you reinforce the schemata of it. And you get on the phone with your friend and talk about your bad day, and they reinforce it by agreeing with you that, yeah, that's stressful. So that's kind of where the cycle comes in of strengthening the stress response and reinforcing it over and over and over again. The more you use the pattern, pathway, schemata, whatever you want to call it, the stronger it gets until you are set in your ways. We become set in our ways, and this is who we are at a certain point. Here's a wonderful example used by one of my massage instructors. You're a teenager. You walk into a party. Everyone there stops talking and looks at you the second you walk in the room. They're talking bad things about you. They're saying bad things. Right? That's just immediately what you think. Little did you know, they were planning your surprise party. But generally, you immediately go to a stress response when things don't, work normal. We're still just as wired to the stress response now as we were when we lived in the wild, thousands of years ago. So what I'm about to say next, I hope will show you a little bit more of the biology of this and what you can do about it. The biology and what you can do about it. It's not that we are a product of our upbringing and our environment and that it's written in stone, because our nerves aren't made of stone. But as you will see, it does require persistence and dedication. And what thing are we more persistent and dedicated to than driving the car? I mean, I love driving. I'm not trying to say bad things about driving. The first time you ever got behind the wheel of a car, you were probably scared bad. You probably didn't feel like you had arms. You were scared. You felt jittery and like really stressed out. You were like, I'm never gonna do this. So you're a limp noodle in a big machine. But you are so determined to do so, and you are so socially obligated to do so, that in a month you're so good at it and developed so many motor skills and schemata and pathways and patterns in order to do so that you're not even paying attention to the road anymore. So out of nowhere, this really complicated thing that scared you has become totally natural, totally second nature to you. And isn't it funny that you don't have the same stress response in the car as you do on the phone, because you're doing really dangerous things in a really dangerous situation, but you don't care? I don't know what that's about. Is it power? I don't know. It's weird. So you got your first car, you got your keys, and you put them in your pocket a certain way. You open the door a certain way. You turn the key a certain way, hit your tape deck a certain way. You turn on your water thing a certain way, and the windshield wipers a certain way. Everything's great, and you're going down the road. At some point, maybe a year later, you all of a sudden need a new car. You get a new car, and you get behind the wheel, and everything feels different. It's not the same. It's different. The keys feel different. They don't go in the pocket the same way. All of your dancey, routine ritual things that you developed are no longer relevant. You need new pathways. Since driving is so important, you learn how to adjust to that new set of circumstances really, really fast. But look, really, really quickly, you developed all new nerve pathways that are very elaborate, and you did it fast. Let's say, for some weird reason, you have to go back to driving your former vehicle, the first love of your life. So you're excited, and you get back in the car, and what? It feels weird. It's not the same. What happened? You have to adjust, again, readjust to driving the car that you drove all the time. You know what that means? It means that the schemata, nerve pathways, and coordination and motor skills you developed at one point have weakened. They're not as strong anymore because you haven't used them. You haven't even thought about them. They're weak. You have to rebuild them. This is powerful evidence that you can rewire your stress response and weaken those nerve pathways. You can weaken them, and you can rewire to the rest and digest portion of your nervous system and make changes. And the fact that we do this with the car proves that. That's awesome. But the thing is, again, driving the car is so important and so natural that we just do it without thinking. There's not usually an emotional attachment to it or a mental thing. We just do it. Making real changes in our lives mentally and emotionally on our own does pose a challenge. And it does take persistence and the kind of determination that would, teach you to drive a car and become one with the society around you. That's a tall order, but we can do it. It can be done. You can weaken your stress response and empower, enrich, strengthen your relaxation response to life. You can do it. And it seems like the ingredient that is most important is persistence. So my recommendation is this. The parasympathetic nervous system response is like, you know, when you got there. It's like when you feel like really centered. You just feel good. Whatever was bothering you an hour ago, it just isn't bothering you the same way. You feel uplifted. You feel calm. You just feel better. You can turn the switch on your nervous system. And you get better and better at that with training and practice and not making an excuse anymore. So you want to get to parasympathetic nervous system rest and digest response like at least once a day to start. And if that's too much, do it a couple times a week. That's just the beginning. There's so many ways to do this, and I know a lot of those ways. I just wanted to give you a little bit more insight into the structure of the nervous system, what happens, what's going on, what we've done, and what we can do. Hopefully in the videos that will follow, I will actually give you some tips and techniques that can be used on your own, in your own time, in your own home, and it'll help you. So get massages, go to acupuncture, take a yoga class, take martial arts. Here's the challenge. I want you to get as many massages as you get oil changes, or acupuncture, or try Reiki, or energy polarity therapy. They're all very viable. They all work well. They all relax the body, and they all switch off the stress response. You got to find your switches. We're the operators. You are your own service technician. Let's go to work. So relax. Thanks, everyone. I hope you watched and enjoyed this video, and I hope I don't do this anymore. Hope you had a good time, and I'll see you soon.